In this video, I'll be walking through how to kick off a new website build in Replit. This is the process that I've used to build dozens of production websites using Replit Agent, and I'll be going through it step by step in this video today. So to make things simple, we're going to be following this prompt template, which just has a few different sections that are going to cover all the foundations that we need to get our website build started. We're going to start by telling Replit Agent what the purpose of our website is, followed by giving it some styling instructions, some specifics for the tone and language, and finally, a space to give details about any specific content that you want to include in various sections. So before you start filling out the prompt, just take a minute to think through what's the goal of the website, who is it for? Is it for personal use? Is it for customers to purchase something? Is it a membership site where users should be able to log in? These are all very common website patterns, which are going to help Replit Agent structure the website for you. So even if you don't want to implement user authentication right up front, which I actually recommend that you don't do from the initial prompt, just by mentioning that this is going to be a membership website where users will log in and access resources is going to help Replit Agent set up the project from the beginning with the right foundation. Next, have a think about the style, design, and layouts that you like or you would like to include in your website. Is it a directory or resources website like Landbook, which has examples of websites for all different purposes, showcasing some really cool design? To get some ideas, you can look into some of these projects and just think through what are the elements, styles, and layouts that you would like to have in your website. After getting some inspiration, you can even start to wireframe some ideas for how your app should look. And as you do that, you can even start pasting these assets into your prompt for Replit Agent to reference. We'll cover that in a little bit more detail later, but if you have any specific layout ideas or designs that you want to include, you can just sketch those out and include the screenshots or visuals that you want in your prompt. Next, just think about the page structure. Is this website going to have tens, hundreds of pages that need to be organized in various folders? Or is this really just going to be a simple landing page? If your website is going to have multiple pages, you can mention this in your prompt, but do not ask Agent to start building out all of the pages from scratch. Generally speaking, you're going to get better results if you focus on one page at a time and start just by building your initial homepage. Quick note, I actually give the opposite advice if you're building a web app and not a website. If you're building a web app with Replit, don't ask for the landing page and homepage first, just start building your app and you can add the homepage later. And last thing is just have a think about the function of your website. Do you intend to have forms, user login, and any other features that are going to be fundamental to how the website functions? Some red flags for things not to include in your initial prompt. Don't ask for multiple pages as mentioned. Don't ask to implement user authentication right off the bat. You can always add this later. Same thing goes for checkout. And in general, avoid too many specifics or details about text and content because you're probably going to want to edit these later once you get that first visual preview. So back to our prompt. I'm just going to start filling this out and that's going to give us a clear idea of how to use this prompt template. So I'm going to be building the ReplStack resources website. For the styling, use the attached images as a reference of the style, layout, and vibe of the website. And here you can also describe any brand themes that you have in mind. So for example, with ReplStack, I want my brand theme of going on a journey, climbing a mountain with a calming aesthetic. This is actually an extension of an existing brand for my Replit development agency. So I can actually even just screen grab this and provide it as a reference for this prompt. One other tip that you might want to try, if you already have some brand assets and you're looking for some keywords that you can give to Replit Agent, you could also just paste your image into ChatGPT and ask it to describe it in some key stylistic words. So for example, if I were to just look at this image, I might not know how to describe it in a way to use it consistently across my brand, but keywords like minimalist, digital watercolor, muted color palette with pastel shades. These are all keywords that I can also add to the styling section of my prompt. So you might include a list of words like this in your prompt, but for now I'm actually just going to leave this and probably work on the styling in more detail later. Tone, very simple. You can describe some keywords about the language that you'd like to use across the website. And lastly, we get to this content section where you can start to add some specifics about either the sections that you want to include in your landing page or any specific sentences, details, and language that you'd like to use. So for example, with this here, we're just starting with a rather basic landing page structure. This is quite standard practice for landing pages. You have a hero section, maybe a demo section, followed by some features, use cases, testimonials, pricing, FAQ, and footer. If you have any assets like a URL for a demo video, you can paste the actual URL here. Same goes for any images that you'd like to include. You can just directly paste any externally hosted images into this prompt as well. But again, it's really not necessary to go into too much detail in this initial build because you may want to change things again later. What you will want to do though is specify key features and aspects of your product, business, website idea, which Replit doesn't have the context for. So for example, I've given some context about what I'm building here, but Agent is probably just going to guess about how I plan to deliver this, what my pricing would be, what the actual features might be. So here I can get a little bit more specific about what each feature should be. I could even give my actual pricing here as well. So the last section of this prompt is just to fill out any content details that you would like to add from the beginning. But otherwise, it really is as simple as that. And just before you hit start chat to start the build, I would recommend just copying and pasting this prompt that you've spent some time working on, pasting it somewhere so that you can reuse it again later in case you want to rebuild or retry the build from scratch with Replit Agent. So once you're ready, hit start chat and start building this website. Since we've given quite a clear structure, this initial plan should line up quite closely with your prompt. If you notice anything in here that you don't want to include, then you can just remove it from this list from the initial plan. And if all's good, approve plan. So if you've never gone through this process before, Agent will build a first version of your website for you. This is always a very exciting moment when you see what it has come up with. I've added a couple of changes just to make things a little bit more realistic. So I've added a URL here for a tutorial video, but it's gone ahead and followed my prompt very closely, and it's even added some additional placeholder content. All of these details with the text, images, and styling are things that I'm going to be working on more later. But as a starting point, what you want to do is just make sure that it has included all of the sections that you've requested, that it seems to have understood the purpose of the website based on the copy and content, and that it's done so in a way which kind of matches any existing brand assets or styling requirements that you've given. Again, it's at this point that you really want to take a look through how it has implemented your site. And if you don't like the direction that it's taken, now is the time to just start a fresh project, tweak your prompts based on anything that you've noticed from the first attempt. Maybe you've noticed that Replit Agent didn't quite understand what your website was for. Maybe you've realized you should have included some more assets to get the styling the way that you wanted it. It really is better to just start from scratch with a new Replit app project, rather than trying to spend a lot of time adjusting the first version that you're not happy with. Next video, I'll be talking through how to make changes to this website now that you have the first version. And to do so, we'll be using a somewhat hidden feature in Replit called the visual editor. Thanks for watching.